The API 2500 is a very cool stereo bus compressor. You can use it on a lot of different things. And while it looks very straightforward, it has a lot of interesting details to it. And of course, a great sound. So that's what I want to talk about today. Alright, so this is the API 2500 bus compressor, or at least this is the plugin. The hardware version, the analog version, is actually a 1 unit high compressor. We have one of them over in Sound Vision. Interesting fact, one of the VU meters of that one is broken. It was actually broken when it came new out of the box. And let's just say that API and Thomann have a different vision on what warranty is than that we have. So it's still broken and it sounds great, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, interesting small detail that nobody ever asked for. So we have our VU meters and everything, and over here we have the controls. I think they built a plugin like this in order to save space and to make it easier to use or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's start at the left. We have some very simple compression controls, and what I actually like to do is use a quite a high ratio, quick attack, quick release, and then use it on drums. So let's increase the ratio. There we go. Something like that. And I mix this with the original drums. If we now bypass it, it's just such an energy giver, and this is basically summing up the sound of the API 2500. So, a few interesting things on this threshold knob, or actually one interesting thing. We have a red light over here, which shows us when our level peaks over the threshold. Very helpful, actually. That way you know kind of what you're doing, even if you're not looking at your VU meters, or if your VU meters are set in a different setting. Also, what is interesting, our threshold is still readable while our attack isn't. Like, I cannot read what is under here. Is it an 8? Is it a 3? What is it? I have to, like, I mean, come on. I know that on the analog unit it looks like this, but that doesn't mean it has to look like this on the digital one. Like who in the right mind designed this? But since this is a tutorial and not a snake oil video, I'm not going to bitch about it too much. The attack can be set from 30 microseconds. So that's 0.03 of a millisecond all the way up to 30 milliseconds. So that's actually quite a wide range and actually very, very quick attack. And we have a ratio over here, which varies from 1.5 all the way up to infinity. So basically a limiter. And we've got a release here that goes from 50 milliseconds all the way up to 2 seconds. And if we set this all the way to the right, we're activating this knob. So when it's set in one of these positions, you can turn this whatever you want, nothing will happen. But if you set it all the way to the right, this knob gets activated. And what that does is it's a variable release. And this is one of those details that is like a bit more advanced than, you know, normal release. What a normal release does is it determines how long it takes for the compressor to go from its compressed state back to its neutral state. So let's turn the threshold all the way down and use one snare here. You can see it takes 2 seconds to get back to the 0 dB mark on our VU meters again. If we do a little bit, like -8 or something, you can see that it was compressing less, but it still takes 2 seconds to fall back. That's fixed release. Fixed release is just the amount of time it takes for the compression to release. But it doesn't matter how much it was reducing its gain. While a variable release, it actually depends on how much it was reducing its gain. So if it was gain reducing a lot, it will take a lot more time than when it was gain reducing just a little. And we can demonstrate this as well. So if I do -20 now, you can see it takes 3 seconds or ish. Like it takes a long time. But if we go back to our -8 setting, just a little bit of compression. Here, it's still not fully back. Is it back now? I think it's back. You can see that it goes a lot quicker. Like this doesn't take 3 seconds. Like it's almost already back. So a little bit of compression is quicker release. That's what this setting is about. And of course you can set this to pretty quickly. 50 milliseconds all the way up to 3 seconds. What those seconds really mean, I couldn't figure it out in the manual. But you know, how much does this printing actually matter? Like, you gotta really listen to it as well. Now, the next settings are the tone settings, and these really, well, decide the tone and the shape of the compressor. And this tone thing is really focused on the way it compresses. So it's not necessarily the way it distorts or the way it colors the sound. It's more the way that the compression curves are working, and that does influence the sound actually, but it's really a compression curve control. That's what the tone part of this compressor is. So we've got 3 knee settings in here. We've got a hard knee, which means that it starts compressing exactly at the threshold and starts compressing at the ratio that you set from that point on. And the softer you make that knee, the earlier it starts compressing. So then it starts compressing a bit earlier with a bit lower ratio. So it's easing into the compression a little bit more. And you can set this to medium or to soft. So what you can see, if we set the threshold just where it starts compressing, on a hard knee, we're barely getting any compression. But on the soft knee, it's already easing us into that compression. So compression with less ratio, but the closer it gets to the threshold, the more ratio it is using. Really cool feature. However, I do think that the harder knees actually fit the 2500 sound better. On the other hand, it is way more versatile because you can set it on softer knees as well. The thrust setting, the Detector THRUST setting, looks very special, but it, actually isn't. It's most of all marketing this, I think. So what the detector is basically its internal sidechain. So compressors can have an external sidechain with a different signal that is triggering the compressor, or its own internal sidechain. And there is a whole philosophy of like how that can be generated and all kinds of stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. But it's the signal that the compressor is responding to. So not the audio signal. The audio signal is what the compression is being applied to, but we also have a signal that's being responded to. And it both signals exist in the compressor. And with the thrust setting, you can control if that signal is being filtered or not. If it's on normal, it's not filtered at all. So everything is the same. There's no EQ curve or something on it. On medium thrust, there is a curve on it like this. And on loud thrust, there's a curve on it like this. That is the difference between these settings. So it's less sensitive on lower frequencies when it's at loud. And when it's at normal, it's more sensitive at low frequencies. So let's overdo this White C style. So you can see here that on the kick, it's not really responding. But if I set it to normal, it's responding a lot more. And the interesting thing is that it really is affecting the sound. And keep in mind that the thrust is just sidechain filter, because this can help you out in a lot of other situations as well. When your compressor is triggering too much on the low frequencies, set it to a louder mode in this case. Then we also have our type, our new or old type. So this is what I was just saying, like the way that this sidechain signal, this detector signal, this whatever signal, the signal that the compressor is listening to, apply the compression on your audio. The way that is being generated, and this goes back to the analog domain, it can be done on 2 different ways. It can be done feedback or feed forward. So when doing it feedback, it basically is feeding back the output signal into the sidechain signal to respond on that. So it's checking the output and is then adjusting its compression accordingly. With a feed forward signal, it's actually taking the signal from the beginning and basically going parallel through the compressor and is creating its sidechain signal from there. And there's a big sound difference between both. And the reason why it's called old and new is because feedback circuitry was basically the standard in older equipment, and the feed forward is something that has been developed more recently. And the difference between the two, well, this is something you really have to experiment with, but I have a very extreme quick setting, and there are a few sound differences to these two approaches, but one of them is the way that the compressor attacks. Now, I hope that you can hear this through the YouTube codec, but listen to the way that, the attack sounds of the bass drum, snare drum, all that kind of stuff. The new mode gives a bit more snappy attack, a bit more snappy compression overall, and the old method gives a little bit more laid back compression, a bit more warm sounding maybe. So yeah, it is just the way that the compression works. But as you hear, it does influence the tone. So that's why they are calling this the tone setting, of course. Now the next section is called link, which is all about the left and right channel linking, because in here are two separate compressors and they share their feedback signal depending on these two buttons in order to compress the same on the left and on the right channel. Now, why do you want to compress the same on the left as on the right channel? Well, it's basically to keep your stereo image intact. So we have it now set to 100% linked, and we have some stuff going on in the stereo field. We have a tom on the left channel, we have a chimes going through the stereo image. And if it's set at 100% link, it is always compressing the same, so our stereo image stays the same. If it's independent, it will now start to compress more on the left channel than on the right channel. It's not very easy to see here. Yeah, you can see that it's doing a little bit more. And there we go. If you listen closely, you will hear that our kick and snare, which are dead center, will now be pushed a little bit more to the right because our left speaker is being compressed a little bit. It's being turned down a little bit. So it's difficult to hear, but this is what is happening, and this is why you want to link it in this situation. However, if you have, for instance, a double-tracked acoustic guitar, so one on the left, one on the right, playing acoustic guitar, but basically separate takes, you can go completely independent with these. Also, if you're worried about just some things that you want to link and some things you don't want to link, you can either use a percentage of this linking, so only link them for 50%, so the sharing between those two is only half. So it's doing the main part but not everything. It's in percentages. Why is it in percentages? Why isn't it just in decibels? Anyway, you can set that, or you can put a filter between the left and right channel. So this is for the control signal. So we can either choose to cut out the high frequencies, cut out the low frequencies, or band pass it. Use both of these filters and only have the mid section go through. I think can already help us a little bit with this thing. Yeah. Anyway, in the case of this tom, this left channel tom annoying thing, I will just go for 100% linking. The output section is also interesting. We've got our in and beep bypass, but you know, you would think that these two settings are the same, but it isn't. The in button is just enabling and disabling the compression. So it's basically the same as pulling down the threshold all the way. The bypass is bypassing the whole circuitry, so all the amplifiers and all that kind of stuff. So if you really want to bypass this plugin, it's better to click bypass than to click in. Also, if you want this plugin to not consume any energy anymore from your computer, this really comes from the DSP days. Now runs native on my system, but back in the DSP days, they also had a power button over here to turn off the whole plugin and to free up DSP resources whenever needed. Next to these bypass buttons is the makeup gain, and this is interesting, and this is actually something that's on the analog unit as well. When this is turned off, this button doesn't do anything. Like, listen. Not doing anything. And that is because the makeup gain is being determined automatically based on how the threshold and ratio is being set. Now, this does mean that it is increasing the gain of your signal a little bit when it's a bit low and when you are decreasing the threshold. So setting the threshold low will increase the signal a little bit. But if your signal is a little bit higher, it actually compensates for the compression that is happening on the threshold versus ratio. The ratio between the threshold and the ratio. So this is basically your auto gain knob. That's the first time I'm seeing auto gain in universal audio plugins. I think they have more of them, but yeah. Anyway, now we have our view meter source. Very cool for making things look awesome for your clients. One small note is that at least for the analog unit, the view meter goes to 20 dB of gain reduction. However, it can compress to 30 dB. So even if your view meters are all the way down here, it can still compress a little bit further. Now, two things that are not on the analog unit are the HR knob. Normally on the analog unit there's a left-right balance here to basically calibrate the analog stuff in there, but since this is digital you don't need to calibrate, not really. There's now a headroom knob here, and what the headroom knob does is basically increase the gain within the plugin. So basically increasing the input gain and decreasing the output gain, or the other way around. Look at this. So now our level is decent in the plugin. we can increase the level in the plugin. And this is not just a level for the compression, but also what is driving all the circuitries in there. And of course we can do it the other way around as well, so decreasing the level within the plugin. Actually a really cool control, that headroom control. It should be a bigger knob and more better explained in here. Like, we've got a big API logo here, but only a small headroom control. Yeah, the last knob that is also not in the analog one is the mix knob. Yeah, pretty straightforward. You can mix the dry and the wet signal. Really cool. Does it need any explanation? Let me know, because then I'll make a video about the mix knob. Which, by the way, actually is something really interesting, because you cannot just mix signals together. Mixing signals together is a pretty difficult thing, actually. Definitely with something that is doing something, because you have to have the same phase. You have to make sure that in digital domain the latency has to be correct. So yeah, that's everything about the API 2500. I'll link to the API 2500 in the description down below. It's part of the Spark bundle. Universal Audio doesn't know that I am making this video. I'm doing this because I like explaining things. If you appreciate it, let me know in the comments down below. If I missed something, also let me know in the comments down below. And if there's something I can do better in the next tutorial, also let me know in the comments down below. Now, if you appreciate my videos and want to support me, consider using my affiliate links, Thomann, Sweetwater and Plugin Boutique. If you click on them or scan the QR codes and go to the link, it places a little cookie, and when you then purchase something in one of these shops or a few days later, the cookies don't stay for that long. A little bit of your purchase gets kicked back to me. So every time you're seeing my link, make sure to just click on it just to be sure. Another way to support me is by becoming a channel member. You can start at 99 cents now, and if everybody would do that, that would make a huge difference. So yeah, use the join button down below to join the channel as a member. There are also early access and exclusive content tiers. I'll link the exclusive content over here. And if you don't want to support me in a monetary way, but want to watch more videos, I'll link an interesting video over here. Thanks a lot for watching. Keep pushing, and bye bye.